Yeah.
And Jack was playing the ukulele.
Mm-hmm.
And who was playing the concertina?
A man named Bob Sanger, whom you will encounter later. The first
Okay.
mate the second mate of the Southern, of Captain McNaught.
Okay, he was the second mate.
Bob Sanger, the second mate, who becomes a great friend of ours.
Bob Sanger?
Bob Sanger is his name, Sanger.
Okay.
There's a tree out there.
Like blood, like that kind of saying.
Okay.
Hungry. Now we're talking about the captain here. He had a huge bass voice, and to our amazement, although out of practice, he was loving to sing hymns. The boys on our deck were jealous, and one evening they got him to sing on our vessel, on the Louisiana. But the Bonnie Blue Flag just didn't sound the same. Dixie sounded even worse. Even with the squeeze box concertina of the second mate Sanger. I was shy about those songs. However, I got out the ukulele. I wished for a guitar. And I did, way down upon the Swanee River, to almost reverent approval. Then more of Stephen Foster, familiar to everyone. Beautiful dreamer, hard times coming in no more. I dream of Jeannie. Oh. I had to sing Lorena, but I only did one verse. I choked up. The second mate, Bob Sanger, now was most tunefully sympathetic with his tenor voice and chords on the concertina, sympathetic with our mood. The captain did not conceal his agony as we sang Ara Lee, Annie Laurie, Loch Lomond. We did that one real slow. My singing can lead. I did. High or low. Then the one to remember, the one we all knew. The one that meant so much to a lonely, repentant, tainted slave ship owner. Amazing Grace. The captain boomed out a pathetically brave lead. And now in my reverie, I heard for the first time, over Kathy's contralto in my ear, I heard the swelling background. It seemed that everyone on the Vesta and the Brilliant alongside us was singing along. The three Graces, their voices floated above all. The Aleuts, listening unseen, told us later they thought it was the spirits of the lights, the northern lights. The waters were hushed, listening to us that night, in Advent. Not until later did I realize I never ever thought of the Battle Hymn of the Republic. That night's story is hard to follow. Well, I met Stephen Foster. I really did. It's as true as anything else in this sorry story. And now Robbie Gordon, that's me, is going to make a note. Let me see. Exactly 108 years later, I slept in Stephen Foster's childhood bed. In 1964, I was sick with love for Judy Shore, great grandniece of Stephen Foster. Crying in the alley and all. She was going to marry my friend Tom Rod as soon as he got out of federal prison for resisting the draft. He resisted the draft openly. In court, he said, in reference to his refusal to fill out the conscientious objector papers, he said, "I don't need a permit to love." My own draft adventures were still ahead. Tom got jailed before the Tonkin Gulf hoax, brave man. Anyway, in 1964, Judy wasn't in Pittsburgh. She was at Sarah Lawrence Summer School. I was at Princeton studying Russian then. That summer, I was fired from my first job as a seaman on the Great Lakes. And Judy and I went to the New York World's Fair. So on a wistful whim, I went to see her mother, a far-out, old, aristocratic, witty battle axe. And I went to smell Judy's bedroom. Well, Elizabeth Foster Scheuer, old Liz, took me in cordially, wined and dined and chatted me, and put me to bed in Stephen Foster's little bed, her great uncle. He had had no wife, no kids. I don't have to add that this is completely true. The bed was black. I know my woods. It was all ebony, I'd say. It was pretty small, but I fit it. I'm 5'4", like Robbie Gordon. The headboard and the footnote of that bed were of the same shape, a parabola or inverted catenary arch. Cannonballs and chains are the images that these curves cause to geometry. The head and the foot were all polished and with a fancy beadwork all around it. The footboard was just slightly smaller, extremely graceful. And on the footboard, outside, was carved a face. By the way, Liz Scheuer, rest in peace, died last month at 94 or so. On the phone to Tom, I mentioned the bed. The house is being sold. Does the Foster's yellow Model A still run? In the barn on the estate in West Virginia, where I shoveled 12 tons of manure. Anyway, about the bed. This face carved in the footboard. The face was coming out of the wood, not yet emerged, with eyes closed, a mouth open in a silent cry. The face dissolves into hair all around, all carved rough as that Parisian Rodin does in stone. The face was all rough carved, unlike the whole rest of the bedboards. If ever I saw a face that yearned to say something, it was that one. But it couldn't. What was Stephen yearning to say? The same as me. Both me's, Robert and Jack. All the me's. The anguish of war, love, separation, home, the yearning for peace, my old Kentucky home. I love Stephen Foster and his music more than I can say. If there was anyone else I could be, it would be him. But I'm cursed to be me, Jack Crack, and both of us are cursed to be alive in these times. Now back to our story. This is Jack speaking. But all the singing and steam engine puffing didn't get us any warmer. The three Graces pestered me personally, icily. The captain wouldn't budge. He wouldn't even move closer to shore. Sea ice floes were appearing. We were out of coal. Several cabins tried to convert coal stoves to burn whale oil, but we lacked the know-how to deal with the crude stuff. Too much black smoke in the cabins. They'd go out, too. But one engineer, it might have been Sanger, the second mate again. You're going to hear more on him later. One engineer had a loony idea. All that fire hose left over from the siphons, would it hold steam? It turned out it would, though it leaked. And we had plenty of scraps of blue wool from pea coats, oil to lash around it and plug leaks. So we merely knocked holes in a lot of watertight bulkheads. Damned men don't care if they sink, as long as the guns work. And we ran hose all over from the steam cylinders. We didn't have or need radiators. It was the craziest contraption you ever saw, except the ship itself. But it worked to utter hilarity. We were like little boys. It was called Chitty Chitty Puff Puff. It puffed reddish steam, even with the patches, in time with the walking beam overhead. What with rusty red stains on the white hose from the chain locker and the grubby white hose, the boys joked it was going to be bunting for to honor Uncle Abe Lincoln himself when he came to San Francisco to accept our surrender. Surprise, Abe! We didn't know yet about his death. strangely. It was a good thing for me. That didn't last. Speedy finally told us sadly. He said General Johnston trembled at the news. Well, the new steam heat system finally gave Kathy and me one of our best nights. Our two cabin mates, Lolo and another youngster, offered to sleep on the floor in the Grace's cabin. There they were tasked with serving, to adjust the heat from time to time. They had to take turns getting up, crawling over or around people, and tightening or loosening strings around various hoses. Of course, if you loosened a tourniquet, the adjoining cabins all woke up and yelled they were cold. But if you tightened one, it would leak in new places. It was a giant intestine. It smelled like it, too. You couldn't see anyway in the Stygian blackness, but it sure smelled like whale's breath. Don't ask. The girls, Lulu, Lala, and Lily, would wake up and sleepily complain in their sweet trills, using pet names, but not move a finger. Oh, they were cruel. It sure beat the former freezing endless nights, however. Remember, it was dark for 23 hours. Meanwhile, in our cabin, Kathy lay on top of me in the narrow berth. It was toasty warm and no leaks. I was good. I installed double hoses. With wide-hulled Catherine aboard, our bodies swayed together. With wide-hulled Catherine aboard, our bodies swayed together in a sweet symbiosis. I didn't mind the pressure. Nothing strenuous went on, but the rhythm of those gentle swells made us feel like two seals on a hot day. That'll do. One other slight problem with the heating system. We could no longer lower the steam apparatus and stack. The damned men need no camouflage, as long as the guns work. Very soon after, the captain called a meeting of all the crews aboard our, quote, flagship. Smith and Smith, the four apostles, and dozens of others came from the Yankee ships, too. This was it. We soon realized in a lamplit, chuffing, wheezing semi-cold, there was more wind that night. We needed to leave. The captain was serious, and he truly aimed to do something good for somebody before he died for Southern freedom. He was astonishing. Well, y'all know what's what. It's all up to me. But I'm telling you, all you Yanks too, he proudly shouted. This here's our Commonwealth. I declare, as of now, I'm no better than any of you. If you don't like what I say, I'll walk the plank. He took off his gray hat and stomped on it, creaking the deckboard. Laughter. There's loud talk, some anger. What's this talk about Yanks? More laughter. Yes, he went on bullish. Try this, brothers and sisters. We're all free now. It's almost over. Me and most of the lads will die as we wished, guns firing, in the last righteous defense of our liberty of action and association. Whoever won't go with me, God bless him or her. The crowd gasped at this reference to God by our proclaimed captain. Y'all can divide up whatever I can spare from my last run, and we'll leave you all. Anyone wishing to leave me in Louisiana, no matter their oaths, I repeat, may freely go wherever they wish. Bye, girls. Thanks, and I'll miss you. Name a baby after Crazy Tiger Shark. Ho, 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 ho. He had turned into Santa Claus, almost at the North Pole. The white streak on his bare head was not from the steady snow outside. We won't need the cutter. Damned men don't need to escape. We can spare other stuff too. Tomorrow we'll pack, stow, and rig for battle. We sail in 48 hours. Damn this darkness. It was noon and you still couldn't read by daylight. Someone dared yell, "What about our heating ducts, Captain?" He grinned like his old self. "I think we'll take the breeches off before we have battle." He didn't say exactly that, actually. That intestinal sausage. What is a French letter? Footnote. What the captain said was, "We'll take off the French letter." A French letter, readers, is French prostitutes wrote their letters on vellum, their love letters, and that's what they made condoms out of. A cheer. He whirled and stamped off proudly, alone to his cabin. We shivered, shaking, thinking madly, glad. 3 cheers for Captain McNaughton. Hip, hip, hooray! 3 times, rocking the boat, almost. And so to bed, like kids with visions of sugar plums. It was almost Christmas, and St. Nick was close. Aboard even. Impossible. The preachers prayed with tears, but a few stayed to pray along. I was one.